Premier League predictions, you know what time it is. It's August, which means the Barclays is nearly back. And in this video, I'm going to tell you who's going to be relegated, who's just going to survive, who's going to finish mid-table mediocrity, who's going to challenge for that top six to try and finish in the promised land of the Europa League. Whoa! Who's going to finish in the top four, and who is going to win the Premier League? And is it Tottenham Hotspur? Is it finally our year? Make sure to like the video and make sure to subscribe to the channel, and let's get straight into this. Relegation battle is going to be very, very interesting this year. We've got some new faces. We've got some similar faces that are going to be down there as well. Obviously, Ipswich Town, Southampton, and Leicester, the three promoted sides. And are they all going to go straight back down? In my opinion, no. Not in my opinion. Southampton, they're going straight in their bottom for me. I just don't see this Southampton squad staying up. I think they've done some decent business. I think bringing Flynn Downs back. I think Russell Martin is a decent manager, but I think he's going to get found out at this level. And I think Leicester go down as well. I think Leicester are that second team to go down, which means the boys Ipswich are staying up. Who is that third team that's going to get relegated? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I predict that it's going to be Brentford. I think Brentford will go this year. I think the Ivan Toney situation is obviously very, well, it's kind of unresolved at this moment. At the moment, we don't know whether he's staying or going. They didn't really miss him too much, to be honest, while he was out. Visser and Bowman did a job for them. But when they were injured as well, they really, really struggled. And I just think Brentford, this could be the year they go. They need someone like Schade to emerge. I think Visser and Bowman are good enough to keep them up. But I just think Ipswich are going to do it. I think Ipswich are going to stay up. I think Leicester, I do really like Steve Cooper. I like that appointment. But I think they need a lot more. And again, with the financial uncertainty hanging over their heads, potential points deduction on the way, I think Leicester and Southampton are doomed. I think it's going to be very close in this relegation battle. But I think Ipswich will just stay up. I think they've got the best manager out of all the teams down there in Kieran McKenna. He's done an incredible job so far. They've brought in players that were there last year. Amari Hutchinson, one of the top level players in the Championship. They've managed to bring him in, knows the way that McKenna wants to play. And they are staying up. They're finishing 17th. Ipswich fans, come on, show some love in the comments. You're going to love that. I think Ipswich stay up. Like I said, I think they play great football. I think they've got the best manager. Yes, they will get battered a few times. All of these teams down there are going to do that. I like the sign of Jacob Greaves. Muric is a good signing in goal as well. They needed that goalkeeper. And I think they're going to pip Brentford to survival. And I think they're going to finish 17th. Just above them, I'm going to have Nottingham Forest. I think Nottingham Forest finish 16th. I think Nottingham Forest, it feels a little bit less chaotic this year. And I think they'll be a little bit more stable. They've managed to keep hold of Gibbs White for now, although Arsenal have apparently been sniffing around in the last few days. Obviously, they were able to keep hold of Callum Hudson-Odoi as well. There were links to Tottenham earlier on in the window. If they can keep hold of Murillo, I think they will definitely stay up. If not, they'll need centre-back reinforcements. Of course, they've gone and signed a goalkeeper, a 6'8" goalkeeper, haven't they? They've signed Elliot Anderson. I don't mind that signing at all. And I think they'll just stay up. I don't think they're going to pull up any trees this year under Nuno, but I think Nottingham Forest will just be all right. In 15th, in the final team in this section, I've got Fulham. Now, Fulham have done some decent business so far. Smith Rowe confirmed today for £34 million. Very good signing. If he can get him back to his best. Again, they brought Ryan Sessegnon back to the club from Spurs. He left Spurs on a free. I think with Smith Rowe, more Smith Rowe and Sessegnon to a lesser extent as well. Fulham needed a left back, they needed a left winger. Sessegnon can cover both of those positions, but Smith Rowe is the one that you're going to hang your survival hopes on. Obviously, they've lost Paulinho and Tosin Adrabayo, so I'm a bit worried about Fulham in the midfield areas and at the back as well. Although Fulham are apparently exploring a deal to sign Diego Carlos from Aston Villa, which could change this. Again, I've done these predictions in my mind so many times. I did a video with Jacob Horsfall on his channel predicting the Premier League, and my predictions are very different to what I gave just a few days ago because a lot has happened in the last few days. But I see Fulham 15th. Again, I think they could challenge for that mid-table section 100%. I think with Smith Rowe and Sessegnon, Smith Rowe especially, it's just about how much you can squeeze out of them. Smith Rowe has hardly kicked a ball in 2 years, and I think he's going to be a big player for them. But how much can they really get out of him? If he breaks down again next year, it's going to be a tough one. And again, I think they could get dragged into it. I think Marco Silva could maybe go. I think they'll be fine. I think they will be fine. And I definitely think they could kick on into that next tier. But that's where I'm going to put them for now. Fulham fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And make sure to like the video as well. Wolverhampton Wanderers. The Wolves, they are 14th for me. I think they'll be fine under Gary O'Neill. Obviously, lost Kilman, which is big. I think a lot of this hinges on keeping Neto. Otherwise, I think Wolves could definitely get dragged into this relegation battle. But I think they'll be fine. Tommy Doyle, good signing. I think João Gomez will have another excellent season, a player that went a little bit under the radar last year. If they're able to keep Neto, again, my team, Spurs, in for Neto potentially. We'll see what happens in the next few days. And again, obviously, this is being filmed at the start of August, so there's a lot that can change between now and then. But this is just a gut feeling based on how I feel about these sides right now. I think they've got a great manager. Like I said with Kieran McKenna, I think they've got one of the best managers down there in Gary O'Neill in terms of motivating a squad, in terms of imprinting that tactical identity and philosophy and way they want to play, able to grind out results. We saw that a lot. Great performances against some of the bigger teams last year. Beat Man City, beat Tottenham. So I think Wolves will be fine. I do think Wolves will be fine. Next up, I've got Bournemouth. And again, when I did this the other day, Bournemouth were higher than this, but I've got them for now in 13th. I absolutely love Andoni Iraola. I thought Bournemouth was so impressive last year. Dean Huijsen, what a signing that is. That is an incredible signing. He is someone that will go to a top club in the next few years. Let me just swap those around. Incredible how he wasn't really able to kind of get a future at Juventus. Madness. But this kid is going to be special. This kid is going to be special. Obviously signed from Roma. I think one thing that has brought Bournemouth back down a little bit is those links to Tottenham for Dominic Solanke. Now, apparently Bournemouth are bracing themselves for him to leave this summer. That could have always been the case. But I do trust in what Bournemouth have done in terms of their recruitment over the last few years to replace him adequately. Obviously, they're not going to go and spend massive money on a striker. But I trust that Bournemouth will unearth someone from somewhere, a striker that will come in and not necessarily score the same amount of goals that Solanke scored last season. He scored 19. He had a brilliant year. But I think they'll be fine. And I think Andoni Iraola will continue to imprint his philosophy on this Bournemouth side, playing some lovely football. Made some good signings so far. And I think Huijsen is one of them. A brilliant replacement for Lloyd Kelly. This kid has got unbelievable potential. I initially had them pushing top 10. I really, really did. I think I had them 11th maybe when I did this the other day. But I think those Solanke rumours have just brought them back down a little bit. And the team that's actually gone above them is a team that I didn't necessarily have too much high hopes for at the start of the summer window, was Brighton. New manager, very young, inexperienced manager to the Premier League. I love the signings of Minter and Mats Weifer as well. Minter has looked incredibly sharp in pre-season. It's a huge step up for an inexperienced manager, but I think they'll be okay. They've got lots of attacking options. They've got so many wide players. And I think Minter is someone that Newcastle will let go. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see where different creators who are doing this, where they've got Newcastle. And I think Brighton, keep an eye on where people are putting Brighton as well. For now, I've got them 12th. And Everton fans, you might be thinking, hold on a minute, European charge? Are we back? Where are we? Top 6 challenges? European tour maybe? No. Everton are 11th, but that is an incredible bit of progress from the last couple of years. Consistent relegation battles. Obviously, last year they would have finished around this part of the table if it wasn't for those points deductions. I think Everton will be solid. I do think Everton will be solid. Hopefully, again, like I said, they would have finished close to this position last year without those FFP deductions. I think they'll keep hold of Branthwaite. It looks like Man United have moved on to De Ligt and Mazraoui as those next defensive signings. I think it's just going to be a little bit more stable at Everton this year. Obviously, they've lost Onana, which is a big blow for them. He's looked impressive for Aston Villa in the early stages of pre-season. But I don't think they're going to miss him too much. I like the business that they've done so far. Iliman Ndiaye, I think, is someone that can come in and make a massive impact for them. Irogbenon from Aston Villa as well, if that's how you pronounce it. In midfield is that box-to-box. Steven Gerrard had massive hopes for him when he was at Aston Villa. And again, not that we should judge Steven Gerrard's opinion, but I think Everton will be absolutely fine. I think it's going to be smooth sailing going into their new stadium the following season after next. Again, there are financial issues that hang over their head in terms of the ownership. But I think on the pitch, as long as they can avoid some points deductions, I think they'll be solid. They're in the market for a striker. I did a video with Zach Jalab and Benjamin Bloom where we suggested one signing for every club that was in the relegation battle last season. And I suggested Tammy Abraham for Everton. And all I'm going to say is those links have started popping up over the last few days. So, Mystic Ben, drop a like for that. Now we're into the top 10 then. Before we get onto those top 6 challenges. You might wonder why I've got top 6 challenges as 8th and 9th and then European Tour as 5th to 7th. I think that battle between 9th to 5th is going to be really close. This is a quality Premier League. A lot of clubs have gone a lot of business. A lot of clubs have got exciting projects. I think that European battle is going to be really, really close. And I think one team who I thought could potentially be in and amongst that was Crystal Palace. But I've got them in 10th. Now, initially I had them higher. I had them in 9th. I had them pushing a top 10 finish. Or a top 9 finish. Obviously, there's been a lot of links to Mark Gahey to Newcastle today, I think that changes things slightly. Again, speaking a little bit like Bournemouth when I was talking about Solanke, I kind of trust Palace with the recruitment that they've done over the last year to bring in an adequate replacement for Mark Gahey. Obviously, you've got Joachim Andersen already there. I love the business they've done so far with Kamada. Ismail Assar confirmed as well. Links to Marcus Edwards. I think that'd be an incredible sign. I think Marcus Edwards has got so much to prove. And if they can bring him in as the Elise replacement, I think he could catch fire in the Premier League. 25 years old, a real hunger, a real point to prove in the league. Decore coming back is massive as well. I think if they sell Mark Gahey to Newcastle, obviously you lose that stability at the back to an extent. But again, I think they can replace him adequately. But that means I think they're far more confident of keeping hold of Iberieze, despite the fact they are in for attacking signings. Which would be a massive push, massive boost for them, and could potentially push them into that top 10. I think Decore coming back is massive. Decore and Wharton is a partnership that I'm dying to see. Obviously, you saw Chris Richards do really well for Palace last season. Again, can he continue to go on to another level? I'm feeling excited about Palace under Glasner. It's just whether they can keep hold of their big men now that Mark Gahey looks like he's potentially out the door. A lot of work to do on that deal. I think Palace are going to ask for their money's worth, around £60 million. Again, we know they're very, very good at getting very good transfer fees for players. Spurs have learnt that with Iberieze. It'd be interesting to see whether he does move. But Mark Gahey maybe feels the more likely at this point. But Palace, if they're able to lose Mark Gahey and finish 10th, I think they'll be very, very happy with that. Now, into the top 6 challenges. Like I said, fans of clubs that I'm going to put in these two sections, just hold your horses because, like I said, a lot can change and I think it's going to be very tight in between these European spots. In 9th, I've got West Ham. I really like what they're doing. Max Kilman, Aaron Wan-Bissaka looks like it's going to be over the line soon. John Duran, I think, is a player that could explode at West Ham. Obviously, you've got to worry about the off-the-field issues with him, and I think Villa fans are quite relieved to let him go. Somerville as well, I think, is an excellent signing. I think 9th, he's maybe cautious. I think they could definitely challenge for higher than that. Fulkrug as well is someone that they're looking at. Whether that's an alternative to Duran is kind of remains to be seen. But I think West Ham fans, again, the first season under Lopetegui, I think they would take 9th. Again, given the quality that is above them, I think they can really compete with some of these teams. Jad Bowen, and again, I think with West Ham, this summer transfer window has been about keeping your big players as much as it has strengthening that squad with players coming in. And I think they've obviously managed to keep hold of Bowen. It looks like Paqueta's going to be around for most of the season. It looks like Kudus is going to stay. And with those little sprinklings of quality on top of that, I do think West Ham could finish 7th in this league. 6th or 7th, they could. But I think there is just a lot of quality above them. Look at those teams left. Arsenal, Villa, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Man United, Newcastle, Tottenham. This isn't a top 6 anymore in the Premier League. This is like a top 8, top 9, you know, with the quality that these teams have got and the money that they're able to spend. But let's move on to 8th. Doesn't feel great, does it, Chelsea? I think they've got so many great options in that squad, and Kunku looks good in pre-season. He's coming back. Can they keep him fit for the whole season? If they can, I think they're definitely pushing this. And again, like I said, all of the teams that are going to finish in these spots, in these European spots in and around that, can all challenge for higher. Chelsea can challenge for top 4 100%. But I've got them in 8th. With Maresca, I can just see it crashing and burning a little bit. I see it almost maybe going a little bit like Pochettino, where they have waves throughout the season where they think this is going really well. Now this is going really poorly. And I think we've seen that in pre-season so far. They've got Man City first game of the season at home at Stamford Bridge, which I think is going to be a real test for them to see where they're at. Really excited about how Palmer can kick on in that second season. I think that midfield, trying to find the best balance for that is very interesting. I was watching, before I came on here, Connor Holden, who does some great Chelsea stuff, was doing a stream. Go and subscribe to him if you're a Chelsea fan. He was talking about how they find that midfield balance ahead of the new season. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how they operate under Maresca. Maybe this is the Spurs bias coming in with the fact that I obviously hate Chelsea, but 8th, I've got them for me. And fans of this next club, you're not going to like this. You're not going to like this. Arsenal set, no, only joking. I've got Manchester United in 7th. I'm not massively convinced about this project. I think Ineos are doing some good things. I think the summer signings have kicked off in the right way. Mazraoui and De Ligt are the players that have been linked next. De Ligt feels like a bit of a step back, if I'm being honest. I think they should have spent the money on Branthwaite. I think having Branthwaite and Yoro as your future long-term centre-back partnerships, I know you've got Martinez there, but can you rely on Martinez to be fit for the whole season? I'm not sure. So I've gone for Man United in 7th. I think they've got European football to contend with as well. Yoro is already out for 3 months. Højlund is missing the start of the season as well. Rashford went off injured in pre-season the other day. Maybe, just maybe, was there a reason why Real Madrid didn't push that hard? Because they know that Yoro is potentially fragile when it comes to injuries. Again, that might be a bit of a reach. But out for 3 months, not a great start for United. And if that keeps happening throughout the season with the promise that is there with him, that is going to be a big loss. Again, I initially had United higher, but with that potential sign on the cards of Mark Gahey, and the fact that Newcastle haven't got any European football to contend with, and the fact that they've managed to keep hold of Guimaraes and Isak and Gordon, it looks like, offering him a new contract so far, getting those players on the training ground throughout the week with no European distractions under Eddie Howe, if they can keep him. I thought this was going to be a quite turbulent summer for Newcastle with those links away to Eddie Howe to maybe taking the England job. I do think there's a chance Howe could leave mid-season to do that. Remains to be seen. Doesn't look like it's happening for now. And obviously there were links away to Isak, to Arsenal, Guimaraes to Arsenal, to City potentially as well. And obviously Gordon to Liverpool. But those three look like they're all staying. And if you can add Mark Gahey to that, you've got a defence of Livramento, you've got Mark Gahey, you've got Bowman, and you've got Lewis Hall as well. I think that's a really exciting back four for Newcastle. And again, you can have Trippier in there, you can have Livramento at left back, although it looks like Trippier might move. Newcastle, I think, will finish higher than I initially thought, and I think they'll finish 6th. But again, I think they could definitely push for 5th. And potentially higher as well. That Newcastle team, when they're flowing, when they've got players injury-free, I think they could be top 4 challengers. They really could. I think they need one more attacking signing as well. I think one thing they'll massively regret when you look at Brighton is that sale of Yakuba Minter. Because he has started pre-season like a house on fire for them. Looks so sharp. And I think if they'd had Minter ahead of Almiron on that right wing, I think they would have been seriously cooking. But again, they've got Harvey Barnes. They've got Anthony Gordon who can play on that right-hand side as well. So maybe they're not too worried about that, and I get that. Newcastle fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, 5th, that's your Europa League spot. Your 6th, whoa, sing it with me. I've got United for Conference League. Although I just think United could again go and challenge for a trophy. It's just what they do. 5th place is obviously potentially Champions League. We know that now. And I'm going to go Aston Villa. Hot take, I think Villa's business is being slightly overrated and overhyped because of the scale in which they've done it. They've signed 8 or 9 players. I'm not massively sold on it. I'll be honest. Let me know your thoughts. I know that's a bit of a hot one. They've brought in a lot of potential. I'm not massively sold on Onana, although he did play very well in pre-season, I believe, in their game yesterday against Leipzig. I love Emery, and what he's done there so far has been superb. But there is this trend with Emery teams of kind of dropping off after a couple of years. Obviously, he works them so hard. I think the big thing for Villa is, will they be able to cope with that Champions League football, especially if they get a hard group. They won't be able to rotate in the same way as they would have been last year in the Conference League, although I don't think Emery actually rotated too much. Obviously, they're going to need those reinforcements, but a lot of the players they've brought in are young players with massive potential. Maatsen being one of those as well, who I think is a very good signing. But I still think they need more. I think they maybe need more, which is crazy considering they've signed 8 or 9 players. But again, like I said, Villa fans, Newcastle fans, United fans, Chelsea fans, West Ham fans, Tottenham fans, it's going to be very, very close between 9th and 5th, in my opinion. So, and 4th. And in 4th, I do see a fall off this year. I do see a fall off for Arsenal this year. I do. I think they'll finish 4th. Nah, I'm only kidding. I think there's only 2 of these teams that can challenge for the title, and I think that is Arsenal and Tottenham. No. I think 4th place will be Tottenham. I think we'll do it. I think Ange Ball's second season, I think we can rotate our squad better than maybe Villa can in Europe. Obviously, we're playing Europa League, they're playing Champions League. Ange Ball season 2, I'm loving what I'm seeing in pre-season so far. Obviously, there's defensive issues there, again, in terms of being vulnerable in transition. But we are playing without Romero, we are playing without Van der Ven. Archie Gray's been filling it centre-back. I think he's got a massive part to play, actually, in his preferred position. Big business, I think, is coming towards the end of the window for Spurs. Whether that's Neto, whether that's Solanke, whether that's Eze, who knows? I think Spurs are definitely not done. I think Solanke would propel Tottenham to top 4. I know people might disagree with that. I know there's been a bit of a debate amongst the Spurs fan base as to whether Solanke is that striker that we need to take us to that next level. But I think what he did for Bournemouth last season, this is a striker that's only going one way. And I think he's more durable than Richarlison. He can stay fit for longer, as we saw last year. And I think he can be a real asset to Spurs. So I've got Spurs in 4th. And I think they'll push Liverpool for 3rd. I do think they'll push Liverpool for 3rd. I think Liverpool, again, a bit like Spurs, haven't done too much business yet. Haven't done any business, in fact. They haven't signed anyone. I think Slot will have a quite impressive first year. I wouldn't be too worried if I was a Liverpool fan. Again, they've identified targets, I believe. I think they're looking at maybe 3 players. They obviously need a centre-back. I'm amazed that they're not going in for Mark Gahey, but they might. Again, they can offer him the Champions League football that Newcastle can't. But they need a defensive midfielder as well. And then, do they need attacking reinforcements? Potentially, obviously, they've looked at Anthony Gordon quite extensively. If they can get him away from Newcastle, obviously that changes a lot of things. But I think Slot in his first year will be fine. I think he'll finish top 4, no problem. Now, in my opinion, there are only 2 teams that win the title. And like I said, I think that's Arsenal and City. But I just think Arsenal will push City close again. But I just don't think it'll be enough. City are a juggernaut. And they lure you in. They make you think you can do it. But I don't think this Arsenal side, although they're getting closer, is ready to topple them just yet. Could we see a surprise title race and 6 players there? Who knows? That is my Premier League table. I've got Southampton, Leicester, Brentford going down, Ipswich, Forest, Fulham staying up, Wolves, Bournemouth, Brighton, Everton, Palace in that mid-table region, West Ham and Chelsea battling for top 4 with Man United, Newcastle and Aston Villa in 7th to 5th. Tottenham, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City is your top 4. Let me know yours in the comments below. Let me know your full league table. I want to hear from you. I want to hear some mad shouts and predictions that you got for the upcoming season. And like I said, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Going to be a lot more stuff coming until the Premier League season starts and throughout the season as well. Make sure to stay tuned to the Bowman YouTube channel and drop subscribe and up the Spurs.